The little girl's voice was barely louder than the clatter of plates in the diner, but it cut through the room like a blade. Daddy, please help her. Every head turned. Two grown men froze mid-laugh. A terrified woman trembled between them. And a single father, exhausted from life and loss, slowly lifted his eyes from his coffee, never knowing that the choice he made in the next 10 seconds would shatter his quiet life forever. Because by morning, one of the most powerful CEOs in the city would be standing at his door. And nothing would ever be the same again. Chapter 1. Daddy, please help her. The diner smelled of burnt coffee and old memories. Ethan Carter sat in the corner booth, sleeves rolled up, forearms tense. Not from strength, but from the constant weight of responsibility. Across from him, his 6-year-old daughter Lily swung her legs gently, humming to herself, crayons scattered across the table like pieces of her small, hopeful world. This was their Friday ritual. Cheap pancakes, one shared milkshake. A promise Ethan never broke, no matter how hard life got. Since Lily's mother passed away 3 years ago, Ethan had learned to survive quietly. No trouble, no risks. Just work home, repeat. Protect Lily. That was the rule. Then Lily stopped humming. Her crayon slipped from her fingers and rolled onto the floor. Ethan noticed the silence before the fear. Daddy, she whispered. He followed her wide eyes to the counter. A woman stood there, young, shaking, her hands clenched tight around a purse. Two men boxed her in, their voices low but cruel, laughter sharp enough to hurt. One leaned too close, the other blocked her escape. People saw. People looked away. Ethan felt the old instinct rise, the one he buried the day Lily was born. He shook his head slightly, more to himself than her. Lily? Don't look. But she did. And then she said the words that shattered his control. Daddy, please help her. She looks scared, like Mommy. Time stopped. Ethan's chest tightened. The diner noise faded. All he saw was Lily's face, so innocent, so sure that her father could fix anything. The men laughed louder now. One grabbed the woman's wrist. That was it. Ethan stood. The booth creaked as he stepped out, calm on the outside, a storm inside. He placed himself between the woman and the men, not shouting, not threatening, just present. Let her go, he said quietly. One man scoffed. Sit down, hero. The next few seconds happened fast. A shove, a punch, a crash of dishes. Ethan moved on instinct, years of suppressed strength unleashed. One man went down hard against a table. The other lunged and missed, ending up flat on the diner floor. Silence. The woman collapsed into tears. Lily stood on the booth, eyes wide, not with fear but awe. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Ethan knelt beside his daughter, heart pounding. Are you okay? She nodded and wrapped her arms around his neck. You helped her, Daddy. That night, Ethan tucked Lily into bed, unaware that someone important had been watching from the shadows of the diner. From the moment, everything changed, and by sunrise, the most powerful woman in the city, the CEO of a billion-dollar empire, would come looking for the man who saved her life. The knock came at 7:14 a.m. Ethan Carter knew the exact time because Lily was still asleep, curled on her side, one arm hugging her stuffed rabbit like it was the last safe thing in the world. He had just finished packing her lunch for school when the sound echoed through the small apartment. It wasn't loud, it wasn't aggressive, but it carried weight. Ethan opened the door expecting a neighbor, or worse, the police. Instead, he found silence. Then a woman stepped forward. She was tall, composed, dressed in a charcoal coat that probably cost more than his car. Her hair was pulled back neatly, her face calm, but her eyes were unforgettable. He recognized them instantly. She was the woman from the diner, but not the shaking, terrified woman from last night. This woman stood like someone who owned buildings, and people listened when she spoke. I'm Mr. Carter, she said gently. My name is Claire Whitmore. Ethan frowned. I think you have the wrong... I don't, she interrupted softly. You saved my life. Behind her, a black SUV idled. Two men in suits stood a respectful distance away, not bodyguards exactly, but close. Ethan swallowed. I didn't do anything special. Claire's lips trembled. You did everything. She stepped inside the apartment slowly, taking in the modest space. The second-hand couch, the chipped table, the framed photo of Ethan, Lily, and a woman with the same eyes Lily had. Claire noticed it too. I didn't come to scare you, she said. I came to thank you and to apologize. For what? For what happens next. Before Ethan could ask, Lily's bedroom door creaked open. Daddy, she stood there in her pajamas, hair messy, eyes sleepy. Claire turned and froze, her breath caught. Tears filled her eyes instantly. "That's your daughter?" Claire whispered. Ethan moved protectively. One turned her heads. Lily tilted her head, studying Claire with innocent curiosity. Were the lady from the diner? Claire dropped to her knees, not dramatically, not for She knelt like someone whose legs had finally given out. "You saved me," Claire said to Lily, voice breaking, "because you asked your daddy to help." Ethan watched, stunned as one of the most powerful women in the country cried on his apartment floor. That afternoon, the news broke: a billionaire CEO assaulted, suspects hospitalized after diner incident. Ethan didn't even know Claire was a CEO until reporters started circling his building. Claire Whitmore was the founder and CEO of Whitmore Industries, a global empire: technology, defense contracts, medical research. A woman who made headlines by breaking glass ceilings and terrifying boardrooms. And the men Ethan took down, they weren't random. They were connected, former executives. Dangerous ones. Claire met Ethan later that evening in her office, a glass tower overlooking the city. She didn't sit behind her desk. She sat across from him like an equal. "They were trying to scare me," she said, "to force me to sign something I wouldn't. They thought I'd be alone." Ethan clenched his fists. "They went after you in public." "They underestimated kindness," she replied, "and courage." She slid a folder across the table. Inside was an offer, a job, security director, private training, a salary Ethan couldn't even pronounce. "I don't want your money," Ethan said quietly. Claire nodded. "I expected that." She leaned forward Athenianly. "Then let me help your daughter." Ethan stiffened. "I lost my mother when I was Lily's age," Claire continued. "I still remember the night she didn't come home." "I built everything I have trying to outrun that pain." She paused. "You saved me from becoming that scared child again." Ethan looked down at the photo in his wallet. Lily's smiling, missing a tooth. "Oh, what would you want from us?" he asked. Claire smiled through tears. "Nothing. Just let me be there." Life changed slowly at first. A safer neighborhood, better schools, doctors who didn't rush. Claire didn't try to replace Lily's mother. She didn't push. She simply showed up. School plays. Pancake breakfasts. Quiet evenings. Lily started calling her a Miss Claire. Then one night, without thinking, she said, "Can you read us a story?" Ethan watched Claire's hands shake as she opened the book. Months passed. The trial ended. The men were convicted. One night, Ethan stood on Claire's balcony overlooking the city lights. "You didn't save me just once," Claire said. "I saved who I was becoming." Ethan exhaled. "My daughter reminded me who I was." Claire turned to him. "What if we both stopped surviving?" Years later, Ethan would sit in that same diner, older, steadier. Lily, now grown, would smile and say, "Daddy, remember the night everything changed?" And Ethan would, because it all began with 6 words spoken by a child who believed in goodness. A "Daddy, please help her." And a single dad who did. Final message for the audience. Perfect ending beat. Sometimes heroes don't wear suits or crowns. Sometimes they're tired fathers holding coffee cups. Sometimes they're little girls who still believe the world can be saved. And sometimes one small act of courage rewrites an entire future.